Man, with everything going on in the world recently, I need some kind of adventure to take my mind off of everything. And unfortunately I can't really leave the house to do anything. Surely one of my video games has the answer to this. Ah, the good old PS4. Surely I'll find an adventure among the great games on there. Oh. God of War. Decent story. The combat is dead boring, and the exploring's kind of, well, token really. I don't know why they made it open world. Death Stranding. Now, there is a decent open world sort of thing going on here, but it's very bland to look at, I must admit. And the story is really up its own arse. And there's no combat. Hell, there's not much of a reason to explore. You're just delivering stuff to people. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, this, when people say this is a open world stealth orientated crafting game, this is basically the game to me. I get why people like it. It's got bloody robot dinosaurs in, but it did not do anything for me. Ghost of Tsushima. Now this is actually a decent version of what Horizon Zero Dawn is, except it's samurai orientated and the sword combat is brilliant, but again I feel the open world's kind of token. There's not much to... There ain't very many hidden stuff for the adventure. It's very linear. I'd rather just be in a linear game. Fallout 4. They took most of the exploration I like in the Fallout 3D games and replaced it with a bloody Minecraft knockoff. Next. I feel gross. That was disgusting. I'm sorry about that, folks. I should never shown such disgusting stuff on camera. But man, somehow despite the advanced technology behind these games, there is a distinct lack of adventure in modern games. Sure, the landscapes are pretty, but they don't have anything hidden there. There's no big reason for the most part to do anything other than a map icon completion thing. Well, I like stuff like Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not going to deny the fact it is a good game. There's nothing really to explore. As I said before, it's just map markers on a map that you go to, rinse and repeat. Most of these games I feel like can be very linear and benefit far greater from it. There is very little surprise in the exploring. No, I think we're going to have to go old school for this. And I think I know just the thing. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're going there. So for those that don't know, The Legend of Zelda is one of the first proper adventure games ever made. Sure, there were others before it, but like Mario, Zelda did such a great job that it might as well have been the first. And with Zelda's 35th anniversary coming up and the need to start cleaning my back catalogue, I thought it was a perfect time for a review. Come on, get in there. There we go. Jokes aside, I'm using the NES Mini for the recording as I haven't really got a way to record the old cartridge games. But it's a Nintendo product, so I don't see the problem. Other than one. The cable is far too short. I know the original NES was short, but it's not the 80s anymore, guys. We can see what's actually on the telly now. Anyway, to the game. The game starts with one of the best starting screens on the NES. The Zelda theme song is absolutely brilliant here and I love every second of this track. If you leave it going, the game shows a reel telling the story and items you'll need in this adventure. When you press start, you'll find yourself on a save screen. In it, you'll have to write your name to set a profile. Of course, I call mine Rayn. Now, I want to point this out as NES games didn't save your games back then, really. Zelda was probably one of the first big games, if not the first one to actually do it. They used to use passwords and such to keep your progress back then. You die and you get a certain code, you write it down, take a photo of it, something like that. Then you type it in on the start screen. But not with Zelda, you actually save it properly. Once you're properly started, you're alone in a forest with 4 openings in a cave. If you go in any of the 4 directions, you'll just get attacked by monsters. Now, like most hardcore Zelda fans will probably know, you go to the cave first to get a sword. Honestly, if I didn't know that from the memes and such, what would your first idea be? You might assume it was probably a dungeon. Zelda is a very cryptic game. While it can give you a couple of hints, they're normally not that much. And I mean, they expect you to go through the game setting fire to bushes and such, with no indication whatsoever to what will be actually useful. One time, I pressed the candle item by mistake and accidentally found the second to last dungeon. See, I get why kids in the 80s like this game, because finding these secrets are really fun. But I'm an adult with a timescale on this review. If only I had some kind of guide for this game. Oh, here's one. This is the hand-drawn guide to Zelda by Hand Drawn Game Guides. This guide is a fantastic piece of fan work. You got all the dungeons, enemies and items put into the book, a strategy on how to tackle the game and its dungeons, and the coolest thing of all, this guy has written a short story based around the actual guide he made up. So not only are you getting a cool strategy guide, but you're also getting a decent story to go with it. Even without the story written into this guide, it is beautiful. If you're interested in getting a copy for yourself, be warned they've done in very limited runs, so I think it's first come first served sort of situation, so I'll put a link in the description below. I won't tell you the story in this book as I feel like it's something you should read. I don't want to take away from this product like that. But I'll tell you what the game's backstory is though. In The Legend of Zelda, you play as a Hylian boy called Link. The Kingdom of Hyrule has been taken over by the evil Ganon, and he has kidnapped the Princess Zelda, who has split the Triforce into 2 pieces. Wisdom, which Ganon now possesses, and power. The piece of power was then split further down into 8 pieces. That's the game. You as Link go around the kingdom collecting the 8 pieces of power, and then you rescue the princess and recover the Triforce of Wisdom. Yeah, there's only 2 pieces this time around, not 3 like try implies. Honestly, this is a pretty complex story for a NES game. NES games are normally either just beat the bad guy or save the princess, you know, something along the lines of that. Just as long as it gets the gameplay going, that's the main point. Zelda though has kind of built an entire world for you to play in that only the sequel and a handful of other games really rival when it comes to NES games. Anyway, I think it's actually time we start talking about the gameplay. In Zelda, you move about a large open map. No levels or stages are in the game. You can go everywhere and anywhere pretty much from the start. Bar the last 4 dungeons. For them, you even need a certain item from the other dungeons, such as a warp whistle. But other than that, you can go everywhere. And trust me, this game encourages you to explore everything. From placing bombs on mountains, burning bushes, or using your raft to drift to other places so you can find all sorts of items such as rupees, which is the game currency, heart containers for more health, or even key items such as new swords. As I said before, this game is cryptic as hell, and while it might be very jarring by today's standards, I can easily see how exciting this can be for a kid in the 80s. Link himself has access to a sword that shoots a laser beam at full health, a shield that blocks anything, including an upgrade to block magic as well, but this shield only works if Link is not hitting anyone. Controlling Link and general combat can be kinda hard. Link can only move in 4 directions and attacks by pointing the sword forward. Anything slightly to the side can easily dodge the attack. Later Zelda games fix this by having Link slash sideways instead, but sadly this is not here. Don't get me wrong, the combat is still fun, but some enemies can be an absolute pain. More on that later. Of course, Link gets other items such as bombs, candles to burn stuff in light rooms, bow and arrows which cost rupees to use, which is surprisingly cool, a magic staff which I hardly used and I have no idea what it costs to use, I assume rupees as well, and weirdly enough what impressed me the most was the boomerang. Why? Just that it moves like an actual boomerang. It angles when it moves if Link moves in a different direction after he's thrown it, which is damn impressive by NES standards. So explore the overworld looking for dungeons. Inside the dungeons you move room to room to try and reach the boss room, but there are various obstacles in the way. such as enemies that you'll need to beat to move a block to open a door or stairway, getting keys, locating the actual boss because you don't know where he's going to be in the maze, grabbing an item to progress with movements such as rafts, ladders, and on one occasion you'll need to get bait from an outside shop to give to a guy to progress further into a dungeon. Yeah, it's pretty cool how all of this works. The dungeons themselves are pretty interesting as they're named after what they're shaped after. Like, one is an eagle, which is a bit hard to tell with the NES graphics. Then you got the moon, which is a bit more obvious, but there's one that stands out for all of the wrong reasons. Yeah, I'm dead serious. There is a goddamn manji symbol in the game. Considering how mad Nintendo went about censoring religion in third-party games and such, they really slacked on their own games here. Even Link's shield has the Catholic cross on it. There's also a couple of hint rooms that telling you how to kill a boss. The bosses are pretty cool. Some require you to hit them in certain places, as the Ocramentus, which requires you to hit it on the head for it to receive damage, or the Glico, which has multiple heads which you need to attack to beat it. Some bosses need items to beat them, such as the Dodongo, which you need to place bombs in front of its pathway to kill it. Or you got bosses like the Digdoga, where you have to play the flute to actually weaken it first. It's pretty easy to kill once you've done that. After going through various dungeons, these bosses do actually return, sometimes multiple ones in a room. Most of the time you can actually skip them though if you're smart enough, but I encountered at least 2 that you needed to fight to go further into the dungeon, but to be honest these bosses are pretty much pushovers compared to some of the enemies. Darknuts come into mind in particular. Not only do they pack a punch, but they also can't be harmed for the front. You need to attack from the sides or behind. Okay, seems simple enough, but not only are they constantly moving quickly in a room with many of them in, but their patterns are all over the place. They could be walking in a random direction, but as soon as you approach them from behind to attack or something, they turn to face you, block the attack, then attack you in a split second. Dealing with them is going to be far more difficult than any other boss in this game, bar one. Most of the other enemies are okay, other than the light likes, which can eat your magic shields, and the Riz Robs, which can teleport and pack a punch. Once you've beaten the 8 dungeons, you can finally face Ganon at Death Mountain. And oh boy is he tough. Not because this is a test of all the knowledge you have gained over the game or anything. No! Ganon is the cheapest boss not only in this game but in the entire Legend of Zelda series. He turns invisible and fires projectiles at you from various places. What do you do to stop this? Nothing. You've got to strike out at random places of the room and hope you are lucky. I'm dead freaking serious on this. I've never heard of a boss like this before. Anyway, you've got to hit him 4 times till he turns red. But wait, what do you do then? Well, you better be exploring in this game as you'll need the silver arrows. How do you get them? It's in a room in the same dungeon as Ganon is in. If you never found them, you can't beat Ganon. The only other game I have heard of doing this is Ghosts and Goblins with the shield. And even them, I'm not even sure if that's true or not. Anyway, you shoot Ganon and watch him explode into a pile of guts. I mean, I think it's meant to be ash, but who's heard of red ash? It's guts as far as I'm concerned. You collect the Triforce of Wisdom and save the Princess Zelda. And that's it. That's the Legend of Zelda. There is a second quest, which is more of a randomizer with more difficulty, but I'm not into that to be honest. So, does the Legend of Zelda on NES still hold up? Ish. While the game itself has aged a fair bit, Link to the Past really refined a lot of ideas here, but there aren't many games that have an experience like this. Ironically, Breath of the Wild is one of the few I can think of, which is quite a long distance from it, age-wise as well. Maybe Demon's Souls as well. There's a lot of NES feelings in that game as well. But you can see the influence of this game even today with the pre-mentioned Breath of the Wild. Some people even consider it a spiritual remake of the original Zelda game, as the Zelda team used that game as a template for Breath of the Wild. And yeah, I can easily see where they get that from. From using the elements such as burning stuff or flying or using rafts and stuff like that to locate resources, climbing and stuff to get to new areas and secrets, and the near perfect freedom that both games offer. I'm going to say, if you like Breath of the Wild, you should really try out the original Zelda game. If you like Zelda in general, you should play this game simply for the historical value. It's aged a fair bit, I won't lie, and you'll need a guide to play these games with some relative ease to it, but if you've got a lot of free time, you're going to have a really good time, no doubt about that. Right, thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe and hit that bell to see more content. Bye.